It's an independent film called Murder Company. It's a World War II piece, directed by Shane Dax Taylor, and I get to work with my old game boss, Kelsey Grammer, who was my executive producer on the TV show The Game. So it was really
Mhm.
cool to get to work with him and a lot of great actors. Jalone, Will. Um, Will was in, Narnia. Uh, J J God, I call them by their character names, but it's about a band of a small band of uh soldiers that are trying to get this French soldier across enemy lines to take out this Nazi regime, this real bad Nazi soldier, and the odds are stacked against us. And so we are on this mission, and then, you know, people are gonna have to watch and see if we make it out and how it turns out. And I'm a soldier who, you know, gets caught up with this band who of soldiers because if people aren't familiar in World War II, black soldiers weren't, allowed to fight in World War II and until, President Truman gave us the green light. Black soldiers we were mechanics, we were chefs, played baseball, um, and they didn't feel we had what it took to be a soldier to fight in, the American Army until we showed them. So my character got separated from my unit, the Triple Nickel, an all black
Mhm.
regiment, and then got connected with these soldiers who went on this death mission. So what we did was we came together, and it wasn't about race at that point in time. It was about survival.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, how I would describe it. It's almost like Saving Private Ryan meets Miracle at St. Anna. And
Mhm.
yeah, so we go on this mission and we're in a way not supposed to return, or we some of us don't. So to be able to get to play this character Coolidge from Philly, in this army where, I finally get an opportunity to fight, but then also wanting to know what are we doing? What are we doing here per se?
Right.
For
Right.
me as my character, there's racism at that point in time. It was racism back in the United States, and here I'm in World War II fighting the ultimate racist with Adolf Hitler.
Mhm.
But then realizing that I'm in this military, so I have a purpose to fight for the freedom and to fight for the equality of all men, especially black men. So being in this
Mhm.
position was something that was really, really cool to be a part of this project to be able to represent per se.
That's lovely.
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of ask you because when I first was introduced to you as an actor, you were in the Miracle Boys. Um, yes, I just came off the high of watching The Wire, and then I was like, I had
Okay.
to follow. So then and then I seen a new show, The Miracle Boys, and then later on, I
Hmm.
got to know you a little bit more in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Miracle Boys, you had such a leader role as you were the biggest brother, taking care of your
Mhm.
younger siblings. And even in the game, you also took on a role as kind of being like a father figure, obviously later on in the series, and you kind of had to take on
Mhm.
a leader role as well. Do you
Mhm.
feel like in this movie, Murder Company, you had to become a leader, like you had to tap into this character, like how you did previously in your earlier career?
Um, to your question, thank you so very much for Miracles Boys. You brought us
That's a
back.
throwback.
Huge shout out to my brothers in that, Sean Nelson, who played Charlie, and Julito
Mm-hmm.
McCullum, who played Lafayette, and of
Like,
course
yeah, yeah.
Spike Lee, and who brought it to the forefront. It was written by Jacqueline Woodson, and playing being the big brother and taking on a leader role, I think just quite naturally, I carry myself as a leader, and within this movie Murder Company, I think we all are leaders per se because you have to know your part, you have to do your part, and you have to know your lane. Knowing your lane doesn't necessarily mean you can't lead. It's just that you have to know your lane. So therefore, the guy next to you doesn't have to worry about you, and then the guy next to him doesn't have to worry about him. And we come together because being a leader is not just leading, you know, a group of people or your family. It's having the qualities and capabilities to have have the responsibility of knowing your role to do your job, and you lead by example. So I was a leader in a sense to where I had a job to do. I was good at what it is that I did, and it worked for what we were trying to do. So, of course, we had a sergeant who was our commanding officer, but we all did our part and we did it well so that we could accomplish what we were setting out. And I think that having leadership qualities is something that I have naturally, excuse me. And so, therefore, it comes naturally to be a leader. I'm a leader within my job on this project, as far as playing, Private Coolidge. So yeah.
So with this being a historical or timepiece film,
Hmm.
and you had to tap into a different role,
Hmm.
how was it hearing the racism in the story? You being an actor and obviously a black man, how was
Hmm.
it for you to tackle on this role, knowing that you were going to have to hear some harsh things about racism or even tapping into that mindset?
Well, that's a great question too, Akanke. Thank you for that because racism is just an ugly thing, period. And it's not just for us as black folks. When you think about World War II and what the Jews went through and what Hitler did to them, um, it 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 was just pure evil. Now, I'm not saying it was different, World War II and the Holocaust was worse or not as bad as slavery days. Racism is just evil and horrible, period, point blank. And my character, when I got the role, so I got the role, and then I was just like thinking to myself, I said, okay, it's going to be different for me because here I am as a black soldier amongst white guys who I'm not supposed to be there with them first and foremost. We're supposed to stay amongst ourselves because that's how the military was you
Designed.
know designed back then,
Yes.
where okay, if we're going to have blacks in the military, they got to stay to themselves. And if there's going to be a black officer who makes certain ranks, he can only be the black officer to that regiment. And so the equality of the military at that point in time, it didn't exist because the racism still was heavy within the military. But it still doesn't stop you from living your life and working hard. So my character, who eventually gets put into this death team, or goes on this death mission, we're not looking at black and white anymore. At this point in time, we're looking at survival, and that all of our blood is red because if I don't cover my side, that means that we all could die. Not just me, we all can die. And if they don't cover their sides,
Right.
that means I can die. So we have to come together as a family and as a brotherhood, and what the military is supposed to be today. And shout out to all the military men and women who are fighting for our freedom today. It's hard. Like, military is not an easy thing, and it's a brave thing at that. It takes a lot of guts and courage. So the you forget in war when the bullets are flying, the explosions are going, race. You know, the Germans are shooting at me, but they're also shooting at these white cats too. And I'm like,
Right.
wait a second, wait, we got the same flag on our shoulders, they don't. So, we have to, the fight is out there. So we put our differences aside. And so what I learned and did the research going into this was how tough it was based off of blacks not being allowed to fight and doing jobs like working in the kitchen or mechanics
Mhm.
or just the low end type of jobs. We didn't stay in the best conditions, in the military barracks.
Mhm.
We were treated as if, slavery and was still very much a thing
Uh, right.
until Truman was like, nah, this is about survival. And if we're going to be a military where we don't want our soldiers to die or whatever, we have to come together. So the racism barrier was a thing until it's not. And when it's not, that's because we're trying to survive. And so you learn something about yourself. I'm speaking from a character standpoint, hun,
Mhm.
based off of playing a character in war. So when you're trying to survive, you're not worried about if this dude's making racial remarks or this guy just yesterday, he ate up the last of the biscuits and I didn't even get to eat nothing. It's like, no, we got to survive or we're not even going to get back to be able to eat any more biscuits or what have you. So I think when, you know, we show that as an underdog that I'm just as good as you, I think that's what it's about. It's less about the complaining and getting upset about how they're treating me, but standing up for something to where I force them to have to respect me and or show that I can do anything you can do just the same or better.
Mm.
And when people do that, and then people see it who might have counted you out or oh, I don't believe he or her can do this job, and then you do it with flying colors. One thing that my dad would say, they don't have to like you, but they will respect you. But you have to put that work in and you have to show why I couldn't take any days off or I couldn't let up for a second. And so when you show that resilience and that determination, the only one at that point in time that can hold you back is you and God, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So I was so thankful to be a part of this project. The director, Shane Dax Taylor, who I've known for like 20, 25 years. We played basketball together.
Mhm.
He called me and said, I want you a part of this project. And he said, it's a little different because uh, we know the situation back in World War II, and it's not we're focusing on a black unit. We're focusing on this group of white guys who have to get this Frenchman
Mhm.
across enemy lines. And so when that happened, I was like, I'm in. And then we
Right.
bring an element to it to where we see a little bit of the struggle, but then we also see guys like my guy Will, who was in the Adventures of Narnia. He was like he became my best friend, but in the story, he looked out for me by
Mhm.
taking the fall or the blame for something that I did, but also it was something that happened to me that I retaliated, but he took the blame for it as a white soldier.
Right.
Because if he didn't take the blame,
Your
it would have
punishment would
been
have been worse.
yeah, would have
Yeah.
been worse. You know what I mean? So that's the type of sacrifice that when people know that you're a good person and they're not really with you know staying separated, especially in today's climate, man. It's like instead of us being divided, we got to come together. It's strength in numbers, but
Exactly.
we're divided and where we shouldn't be. And so in this project, we showed the meaning of family and um, what it means to come together to overcome and to achieve. that ultimate goal. And I think that's what is important nowadays is for us to come together. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It's for us to come together, not be, you know, separated or divided by something as ignorant as race and just foolishness. But it's out there. It's out there. It is what it is,
Absolutely.
but doesn't mean you have to be a part of it in a way to where you don't do your part. You,
Mm-hmm.
I think as a first of all, as a father, as a black man, it's important for me to constantly represent and put that work in and set an example. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's my job. It's my duty. You know what I mean? Because I got kids. I got four kids. I have two daughters and two sons. That a lot of the crap that's happening out there, they're coming up in that. So I want to make sure I'm equipping them with tools and knowledge that can help them have a better life. You see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
part of that is being kind, being respectful, having class, and being kind and putting in that work. Nothing's gonna come easy. Not gonna be easy.
No. I'm so sorry we had to wrap this up because I had so many other questions I would love to explore
Oh,
with you. I know it came so
can
quick.
we get like 5 more minutes? Can we get 5 more minutes? Let me ask um
Yeah, we could put in a chat. We can file. I have like two more questions.
Yeah, I
oh,
mean, if Pooch, you're okay with that, that's
yeah.
totally good.
Can we just get these two? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I know
Yeah.
sometimes I go on a rant and I know that we're on a time crunch, but I want to get these two questions.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That was a thank you for answering that question so in depth. With there being such a like an action film and talking about the war, what was it like for you to train? Because since you've been on camera,
Mhm.
you have always worked on your figure, made sure that you stay toned. Did you really have to tap into getting like into the gym and gaining the muscle or gaining the weight, or what did you have to do in order to physically train for the film?
Well, you know I got to stay in shape.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, I grew up as an athlete, you know, between all the projects that I've done, playing a football player on the game, but I really played football in
Mm,
real life, and a boxer on Ray Donovan. And, you know, and I really box. I'm an amateur fighter, 23 and 0 as an amateur fighter.
wow.
But, you know, just being physical is something that is, you know, innate. And the training in which we did was more so technical, um, field training as you know, combat. And I want to give a huge shout out to the men and women of the military. Like I said before, like, you know, what they go through is tough. And I know for a fact that, you know, it must be scary at times, just the training and everything they've gone through, because
Mm,
part of this film was, you know, our director Shane Dax Taylor, you know, he wanted to make sure it was as authentic as possible, and we everything that we wore was authentic, just the World War II wardrobe and stuff like that. So it's heavy, it's wool, you sweated like, and there were times where the weather would mess with us, and there were times it was really, really cold up in those mountains.
mm,
And when you took the your wardrobe off, you're just drenched. It was so, you're so sweaty from carrying all that equipment and lugging them
wow.
guns and stuff around. So, you know, you have to
Right.
be in good shape. You have to be in good shape in that respect. But the training in which, you know, I did and went through was more so for the technical combat side to look authentic as a soldier. And
Right.
we had two great special forces technicians who were working with us to make sure it looked authentic as far as handling
Right.
weaponry and the choreography with the knife fighting and stuff like that.
Mm. So, with that being said, with the film, you're saying that you guys had to obviously be very skilled fighters. What was your favorite part of film? If you don't want to give too much away, if you could just share one
Oh,
glimpse about the film.
well, I think for me, the best part about the film for me was being able to be in Europe and just seeing the different um, landscapes, the places in which we shot the film to duplicate, what World War II looked
Right.
like in certain regards. Um, and it really felt like I was in a real war per se.
Mhm. Right.
Um,
Wow.
but it never was a dull moment. Like it was action go time every time we got on set, and a lot of the shots that were shot and some of the playbacks we saw, it looked really, really fun. So it's going to be a high energy, adrenaline, filled war film that is different from the other ones because when you talk about World War II or Vietnam or Korea or Iraq or Afghanistan, that's a broad, it's almost like you have a broad scope of how that must feel like and what that must have been like.
You kind
But
of
with
tap
it,
into that moment. Like you kind of feel like you're a part of history, you're a part of that
yes,
exact
but
moment
not
that they
just that, that what
hmm
exactly what you just said, but also there are different situations happening within the war that may not be seen in the news or someone may not have documented. And so this project in which we're doing was based on a true story about these guys. And um, but unless we tell the story, you're not going to know about it. You're just going to know that it
right.
was it was fighting the Germans, and getting rid of Adolf Hitler. But there's a lot of different situations within World War II that happened that, people don't know about unless we tell these stories about this group of guys. So, all of a sudden you see this group of guys on this suicide mission, and then you're like, wait a second, World War II. I don't really remember black people being in that war. Then you see this one black
Yeah.
soldier in there with these white guys to see them coming together, coexisting, fighting for the greater good. You see what I'm saying? And with that being said, I feel that when people watch this film, they're going to be entertained, and I'm excited for people to see it.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I love to see you in different, like I said, I've been following you for over almost 18 years now, since what, oh
Yeah,
six
it's
oh seven when
crazy.
Miracle Boys came out. Yeah. So to see you in a war film and honestly talking about history, my favorite topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get tired.
Mm-hmm.
People tell me all the time, like, I'm tired of you talking about racism. But it's my favorite topic. I'm sorry. So to see this side
It's
of
a
you and
real
be so
thing.
passionate.
It's a
And
real
it's a
thing.
real thing. You're putting a face to actual humans, especially about
Mm-hmm.
people that look like us. So I
Right.
know it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for your fans to see it as well.
Thank
Can you
you.
please just let them know where they could watch the film, and how they could follow you on socials, and let
Mm-hmm.
us know what your next upcoming projects is so that our
Mm-hmm.
subscribers could tap in as well.
Copy that. So Murder Company will be out this Friday. That is July 5th in select theaters and digital platforms. I play Private Coolidge, and it's a film set in World War II. And I hope you guys really get a kick out of it. And I'm trying to stay busy. And you can follow me on Instagram. I am Pooch Hall. I am underscore Pooch Hall on Twitter/X and official Pooch Hall on Facebook. So keep your eyes out. I just wrapped up season 1 of Family Business New Orleans and an independent film called Mama's Boy, which they're trying to make happen now as far as distribution and all that, but it was a great film. Uh, so I'm trying to think of what else. And the games within us on Netflix coming out soon too. So I'm trying to
Nice.
stay busy
You
and
are.
and
You're not
keeping it
trying. You
moving.
are. You got a lot of
Thank you.
projects.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I loved
Yes.
learning about more about the film. Obviously, I did my own research, so hearing it from the own
Yeah.
actor himself is awesome. I want you to enjoy your weekend, and I will definitely be tuning in with the rest of our subscribers on Friday to watch the film.
I appreciate you, Akanke. You be well. You keep up the good work, girl.
Thank you. You as well.